All right, welcome everybody to the next episode of the Digital Marketing Agency Builders podcast. Today I have with me Avi Kumar, and he's the founder and CEO of KUWARE Inc., a marketing and advertising agency based in Austin, Texas. KUWARE's primary focus is on marketing strategy delivered through a fractional CMO model and e-commerce-as-a-service. Recently, Avi acquired the WhiteLabel PPC agency InvisiblePPC. As a behind-the-scenes white label partner, InvisiblePPC helps smaller agencies fulfill the marketing needs of local businesses. Avi has spoken at the prestigious Traffic and Conversion Summit along such speakers as Martha Stewart, Marie Forleo, Chip Wilson, and Snoop Dogg. Avi prides himself on being a hashtag irreverent marketer with a belief in looking past the star power of marketing gurus and shattering marketing myths. Prioritizing objective data over subjective criteria, Avi helps his clients and agency partners succeed in a crowded marketplace. Avi, thank you so much for joining me today. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Tyler. Thank you for having me here. I'm excited.
Absolutely, me too. And I love that you were speaking at Traffic and Conversion Summit. I've always wanted to go myself, so I'm sure that was a fantastic experience. I'm just going to let you know I'm a little jealous of that one.
Yeah, it was great. By the way, Snoop Dogg, this intro was written before. Snoop Dogg did not show up. It was instead, it was Magic Johnson.
Hey, that's still pretty cool. All right, that's still pretty cool. I'd take it. I'd take it. So, okay, let me first start off by asking you a little bit of something we heard in your intro, which is what exactly is an irreverent marketer, and why do you consider yourself to be one?
So, the reason I go with that moniker is irreverent marketer is when I came to market. I've been doing marketing for now kind of 16, 17 years. This agency has been around for 14 years. I had this problem with like, hey, everybody telling this is what marketing is. I came from engineering, a little different background than business school and everything. So there was everybody telling you what marketing is, and a lot of especially marketing gurus at what marketing is. And it took me a while. Initially, I felt very out of place because the things they were telling me were not resonating with me. And I was thinking, I guess because I came from different world, that's why I'm wrong. So I started questioning what they were telling. And then I started reading. I started going back in years in marketing, reading, old advertisers, how they were doing it. And slowly I started saying, man, what they're talking nowadays because of new channels and new places to do this, they keep saying, oh, the marketing has changed, it's new. It's actually not. So the things they were pushing were not right. It was just kind of just invent a new word for the same thing which already existed, make it cool, and those kind of things. So then I said, I'm going to be irreverent. I'm going to question everybody in every stage asking this. In fact, many of the places people remember me because, oh, you are the guy who was almost like a heckler to the person on stage asking so many questions, so I started questioning, and that became the way I approached everything. That if I hear from somebody that this works, first I'm going to question, I will test it, and I'm going to be irreverent about it. And then it translated to trying things which not others were not trying. And so it's like, hey, and then when they succeeded, that's okay, this works. You don't have to follow others. You got to try and test. So that's one thing which I'm not irreverent about, that testing works. I mean, that's what marketing says, that you should test everything. I mean, so there are things which are principles of marketing. I cannot claim I'm irreverent about those. They still work. But a lot of new stuff, the new in vogue keeps changing. I question it. So we started saying we're going to question. We'll be the ones who are skeptical of anybody telling us, oh, this works. Let's test it. So that's where the irreverence comes from.
Marketing is always about testing and data. It's really not about like feeling emotion or anything like that. It's about the actual facts and what's actually going to work. So I think most companies need a person like you. Like, you run your own company, you're a CEO. So it's great that you're at the top of your organization questioning everything. But I think maybe in some other organizations, they would hugely benefit from a person like you, because if everyone falls in line and just doesn't challenge anybody and they go one track, then they could all go the wrong way together. So it's good to have that in an organization. So let's talk about white label partners. That's what this episode is really about at its core, because you are by all means an expert in white label marketing. First, let's talk about what white label is. So what exactly is white label in the agency space, and what value does that bring to agency owners?
So the white label partner is somebody who does not deal with the end client, but just deals with the agency who's dealing with the end client and does the service for them under their umbrella. Now, a true white label would be where you really never, the end client does never find out. So, but it works in many levels. So that's a white label where they just get the work and kind of pass it on. In some ways, when you're hiring a freelancer without telling your customer, you're kind of white labeling it, right? In some way. Now, but the formal white label partner is somebody who's actually a company. That's the business they are in, right? Like InvisiblePPC, we are in a business of doing Google Ads for others. And we are what I called a pure play in the sense, if you are a direct end client, if it came to a true white label partner like Invisible, we're going to turn you down. We're going to say, sorry, we'll send you to one of our agencies, we'll introduce you to one of your agencies, and you cannot work directly with us. Because also a true white label partner recognizes the value of the intermediary agency. So it's not like, oh, I know do Google Ads, so I can do this, I don't need anybody. No, there is a managing the client, their expectation, talking to them, understanding their business. That's the additional effort which the agency has to take on. And that's what they get paid for. That's their value add. They focus on that, while our expertise is, once you know what you want in the ads, a white label partner, if it's the ads white label partner, if it's a web design partner, they can take it from there and deliver. So that's the white label partner business, and it's been around forever. Sometimes not called white label, but the idea is you're kind of getting it done through somebody else, and preferably a organized organization versus one person doing it. Then you can get a consistent, good quality. Then it's a true white label partner in that situation.
I really like how you said that you value the actual agencies, the client-facing agencies part in the equation, because I think, you know, people can devalue that when they're looking at a whole white label partnership. That's really, really important, because you're right. They're very different skill sets. Working with the clients, managing the clients, the day-to-day communication, account management. My last episode on this actual podcast was all about account management and that side of the business, which is completely removed from the actual ads work, the SEO work, all the website builds. Very, very different skill sets. You either have to combine them or you have to partner with somebody that's going to have what you don't have on that. So I totally agree. What services would you say are best suited for white label?
So any of the services which have a clean cut, where if you are within your agency, after talking to a client, able to assign a task to somebody and they can run with it without going back to client, that will be what I'll call a clean cut. At that point, you can white labels from there on. Some services which kind of lend to white label very easily are definitely ads on all platforms. The other one would be SEO, because once you understand the thing, what needs to get done underneath can be completely white label. Website design, any kind of a development. So these they lend it, but once the descriptions, in case of development, what it is about, what app they want, once it is defined, SEO, once it is defined, the strategy, etc., it can be completely white label. Ads can be certainly white labeled. So those are the good ones as examples, but mainly they are self-contained. They can be done within a department separately after somebody has dealt with the client. So those would be great for white label.
What would you consider as something that's not good for white labeling then?
So a strategy. So there is a component I do want to keep bringing this up multiple times. Two reasons. Even though as a white label agency, we have other agency, KUWARE, which is a strategy agency, fractional CMO agency. Marketers devalue themselves by not getting paid for their strategy. And strategy cannot be white labeled. You can bring in a consultant if you want, who will show up to talk to your client because they have expertise, but you cannot white label that, because there you're discussing really, truly the business. And you are discussing directly with the business owner. So there's no way you can collect the data and pass it to somebody else. Oh, you do the business analysis. You got to be part of it, right? So any of the strategy and decision making in marketing, and I think that's the part which should be paid most. You should get paid most for. Most marketers, when starting out, kind of don't do that. So even if you're doing Facebook ads, somebody has to figure out what kind of ads, where the platform, or whether even Facebook is even good for you. That's a strategic decision, right? It's not like, oh, everybody said go to Facebook or go to Google, you go to Google. There is a strategic decision. Why Facebook? Why Google? Or why should you be going to TikTok already or not yet? Those are strategic decisions, and you should get paid for that. So those level of decisions should not be outsourced. Now, you can bring in a partner if you like, but this will be not definitely a white label situation. It'll be more like, oh, I've got an expert. He'll work with us in addition. But it cannot be white labeled.
That's really interesting. I think, what if you have an agency owner who's talking with a lead? They're not a client yet. They're still in the sales process, and the agency owner is getting to know the lead, getting to know their situation, their story, and putting together the strategy, right? On, okay, I think we're going to go with Google. I think we're going to go with Facebook. I think we're going to go with TikTok, whatever the path may be. They can take those ideas, concepts, the strategy that they think will work, go over to the white label partner and say, hey, do you think this would work as well? And kind of get feedback there, I would imagine.
Absolutely. So what they do is, if they decided these are the 3 channels I think they'll work, then if I have the same partner doing TikTok, Facebook, and Google, I can go to same. If I have different one, I can say, hey, can you, Mr. TikTok white label, do you think this will work? Go to the Facebook. This is the client, this is the business. Will it work? And they should be able to feed you back all the data, case studies for that kind of a client. So that's the job of a white label partner. At least in our case, we do that. Like, hey, if you come to us and you say, I've got a chiropractor, I'm going to give you 5 case studies just for chiropractor, and say, okay, if you got a chiropractor, these are the results chiropractors can expect. Now you can go back to chiropractor and say, if they do Google ads, this is what they're going to get, right?
Yep.
So the expert will provide you all that information to make your case stronger, but you will decide on the higher level the decision. And in fact, if you're in early stages, it's completely okay to go back and say, okay, yes, chiropractor, we have worked with the medical practice, but not chiropractor. Let me look at the data.
Yeah.
I've worked with other medical professionals, but let me look at the data, whether specifically for chiropractor, how good it is. But I work with dentists, it works, but let me see this. And you come back, check with a partner, and if you are a partner with us or any other agency, usually you will already have the data. You've been doing it for a while. You will have that for all the possible, or before the meeting, you'll ask for it. I'm going to see a chiropractor. Give me some data on it, right?
Right.
So that's fine too. But I think the big part again is, it's when closing early stages. This is the agency thing that you don't have to know every answer in the first meeting. In fact, if you know every answer, you come across as a pushy salesperson.
Yeah.
It's a great idea to go back and say, yeah, in general, I know specifics. Tell me more about your business. I'm going to come back for you with exact proposal and details. I can give you general answers, right?
Absolutely, because at the end of the day, you're supposed to be the agency owner, and that's your role, right? You're not the ads expert. You're not expected to be the actual. You're supposed to hire those people, right?
Correct.
So
Exactly.
It's okay to stay in that role as a CEO that defers to his expert team afterward, right? And so the first call is really, it's questions, lots of questions, getting to know the client. I always tell my students in my program that you should be on that first sales call, you should be asking way more questions than you should be talking. Let them do all the talking, telling you all the information, and then get that, and then work with your white label partner.
Yeah, the statement you said, they should do talking. So the numbers we use is, I say, if it is a 30-minute call, make them talk 25 minutes, and you talk only 5 minutes, then you're doing great.
Love it.
Surprisingly, when you do that, they feel that you were the expert, even though you didn't talk, because you listened so well and you interacted with them well, and they feel like, oh, this person really knew their stuff. Really, all you did was listen to their story, exactly what it's about. So I'm with you on that.
It's so sad. I mean, most people, they don't even realize that people just want to be heard. Like, they just want you to listen. They just want to be heard and go on. And then you can show up in that second call with the authority of having spoken to your team, having the strategy mapped out, and knowing exactly what you're going to say. Then it's okay to speak a little bit more. But totally agree with you on that. When do you think it's good, like in timeline, for an agency to consider a white label partner? Should brand new agencies be considering white label partners? Is it something that they should be doing down the line, or where on that timeline is it something to think about?
So we like to tell our clients or potential clients that there are 3 situations where you should be looking at white label, when to start looking at white label partner. One is, you're already agency doing some things and your growth is stalled. Now, whatever reason you cannot grow because whatever level of lead generation doing, it's not growing anymore. So that'll be a perfect time to say, you know what? We don't do this specific service. Say we don't do SEO, we don't do ads, we do other stuff. Can we bolt on this additional service? Then if we bolt on through a partner this additional service, then I can go to the same clients, which I already have, who I'm doing other stuff for, and say, hey, by the way, now we do Google Ads also. Do you want help with Google Ads? Because that's the easiest sell. They're already your clients. And all you're doing is, so growth is stalled and you want to add more services. That's a great time to consider this one. The other one is you're getting a lot of requests in one specific area. You might be doing Google Ads, and suddenly you're getting a lot more requests, and you cannot handle them all in-house. And you are not at a place to just hire and build a big team now. That's a great other time to say, okay, we were doing it because we were doing small time. We're getting enough of this. Let's get a partner and get into this big time. And we'll just kind of take the business, then have somebody do it. So that's the other one. The third one is, I come back to the strategy, that all marketing agencies, end of the day, if you wanted to split, they are either in fulfillment or in the strategy consulting. Most are mixed in this. When they say full service, they're doing app. But the reality is, more you separate yourself and become one or the other, better off you are. Either you are skilled in fulfillment and doing something really well, really well. We just do that either as a white label or direct for clients. I mean, you could be doing Google Ads direct for clients too, as this agency. That's fine. So if you decide you're going to focus more on strategy, and I can tell you from KUWARE experience, there's a lot of money on strategy. That's why I could have enough money to go and buy other agency. The strategy makes a lot of money. So yeah. If you decide that I'm going to focus more on strategy, then that's a great time to start considering white label partners. Because otherwise you have to build this team, which is like, oh, we are full service, now I have to have everything in-house. So three situations. The growth has stalled, or you have a lot of requests from one specific area where you want to grow, or you want to focus more on strategy and get out of fulfillment. So that's when we should consider a white label partner.
I love it. I definitely agree. I also I look at everything from the start, because I work with a lot of startup newer agencies, and when you're just getting started in the agency space, you really only have a few options. Like you could start like me, who I was doing ads and social media myself. Like I was a freelancer that called myself an agency that was doing it all for my clients, right? It's a one-man band, which in my opinion, that's not an actual agency. That's a freelancer that's working directly with clients, right? So that's not really an agency. Once you actually start getting multiple clients and you have to start building a team, you really only have two options. You can get a white label partner, or you can start hiring in-house people. But for most startup agencies, in my opinion, it doesn't make sense to hire in-house, because you're not going to have the revenue in order to pay their salaries before you have the clients in order to pay their salaries. So it's like this chicken and egg situation. So what a white label partner enables a lot of newer agencies to do is get expert fulfillment, so that your clients are going to be happy, and pay by the project or pay by the client, so that you don't have to worry about the in-house salaries while you're getting your next clients, right? And it enables you to grow sustainably much quicker. So I think white label, and in many cases, is really helpful for even people that are just starting out, getting that, because the last thing you want to do is learn on your clients and do ads yourself when you don't know how to do ads, because that's just going to churn and burn your clients. So getting an expert to do that is absolutely critical. And most people don't have the money to just burn on salaries, hoping that they're going to get the clients to pay that back. So I think white label partners work even really great from the beginning with a lot of people.
Absolutely. So I'll start with the beginning, and I'll take you through the journey of a white label, working with a white label company. So when you're starting out, you might not have two things. One, you don't have resources, as you said exactly, to hire immediately, because you have like one client. For one client, you cannot set up the whole PPC system or Facebook people. So that's one. Other is, when they ask you a question about any channel, you might not have the expertise. So now you come across like, okay, I cannot hire and I cannot be expert without hiring. What do I do? So then you bring in white label partners, you basically leverage their expertise. They will give you all the material and everything. You leverage that and use that, and you come across, man, this person knows all, and you get it done. And you scale. So the scaling things we have seen with dozens, and probably by now reaching hundreds of agencies, have done this with us. They started out with one, auto repair one. After 2 weeks, auto repair 2, auto repair 3, auto repair dozen. They reach 15. Once that scaling works, they specialize. Or it is like, lawyers. It's a law firm agency only. They start with one law firm, just doing their ads, got some conversion. Then they decide, okay, I'm going to do the website part in-house, ads outside. Or even that I'm going to outsource, but I'm going to just go after lawyers. So they build. So that is a great scaling while still not becoming general agency. Now you could decide, I'm going to add one more line, not just lawyers at some point. So that's one. Other is we also have, so for beginners it's great, but we also have, so when you do the math actually, even if you're a very large agency, unless you're going to specialize in Google PPC, the way the math works out, you are better off outsourcing. Because what you can do is, so we have clients who have 40 or 50 clients already. They still work with a white label partner. You would say, man, it doesn't make sense. They can build a whole team inside, right? With that money, they can. But now they have to deal with one more expertise, one more management, the systems. When you're managing that many clients, you have to scale, because you cannot hire, just because you have 50 clients, you cannot hire 10 account managers. They're going to be expensive. Your margins are gone immediately. So you need somebody who knows the systems and can scale and work. So most white label agencies, including ours, we have a hierarchy. There's account manager, then there's ad specialist, there's a copywriter, then there is a auditor. So all these skills partially, spread across multiple accounts. That's how it scales. So unless you're going to build, one kind, either white label or Google Ads agency only, nothing else, it's always in every situation, and I can argue you'll make more money with working with a white label partner, just not Google Ads in any area, right? And other is the margins, right? Most cases, our clients take our pricing and they charge 2x or more. So so that's like, hey, you're going to get that money for managing relationship. And especially in a business of ads, this is the best part. We have some clients, they don't talk to us for 6 months, and technology changes, and we tell them, hey, we're changing the landing page platform. We're moving away from this to the other. Can we change? They don't respond to us, because what's happening is it's working so well. Their client has not bothered them. We got the credit card on file and everything's working, and they just don't have time to talk to us.
Yeah.
They just let it go because it's been running like autopilot. The money is coming in for them. So it's a little frustrating in one way. Other hand, these are the ones I say we check off and say, man, these guys must be so happy. He's just paying every month a few $1,000s and they're making their money. They just don't want to talk to us. They have no time. Yeah. Right? So it can be amazing. It can work amazingly well with the right client, right service, and you just let it be. Right? So it does work for a lot. The big part I want to say is that as you're growing, it can. But of course, if you decide to specialize, you should bring it in-house in that situation, right? Like if you decide you want to build your own agency in that, there is nothing wrong with that. But otherwise, if you want to keep growing and scaling, you can continuously scale to become a very large agency and still never fulfill in-house.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that you mentioned the pricing, because that's what I talk with a lot of my students in the Done For You Agency program about, is when you bring on a white label partner, they're always wondering, well, what are my margins going to be? What's that going to be? And I say, generally speaking, you should always be able to charge at least double what they're charging you in order to do those ads. If you can't charge double, then either their pricing is not super white label friendly, or you're not confident enough in your front end pricing, because that's also a huge problem. People undercharging for their services. If you're confident in your white label pricing and someone's like, oh, well, that's way too much, it's usually because they're just they don't know their value on the market to go ahead and pitch that. But sorry, go ahead.
So we run into that with the new. So the only concern we have is if somebody starts the agency and they have not gone through a training program like yours or others, biggest fear is that they're not confident. They don't have the confidence. So they're scared. And the big one thing, so that makes them feel that it's not worth it. And they feel that I don't know the ads, so how can I charge more? I'm outsourcing. I should not be charging more. No, when that starts coming in, they are their own enemies in that situation. Basically, Totally. It's not helping them, right?
I tell them to literally look at it in the opposite way. I was like, you don't know the ads. So if you were the one doing it, then you should be scared to charge them that much. But you're not the one doing it. You're now in my program, and you're partnered with these expert white label fulfillments that they've been doing it for years. They have a lot of case studies. They have a lot of knowledge. So your confidence should be literally drawn from the fact that you know that this client is going to be taken very good care of when they join your agency. So bring that confidence through to your sales calls. And then that's how they learn how to price themselves, how to feel confident on the calls and everything. But when you're just starting out and you may be the one doing it like I did at the very beginning, I get that. I get the shaky, not so confident in your pricing, everything. And I started off with very much freelancer pricing, but as I grew and started getting more experts on, white label partners in my agency, then that was able to quickly resolve. Avi, should agencies, this is a really good one I want to ask you, should agencies keep white label partners hidden from their clients?
Yes. This question comes up for us. Absolutely. It's a great question. We feel if you're a confident agency owner, you don't have to hide. Because
interesting.
Especially if your partner is a true white label partner. And in that situation, even if they find the partner, they search their pricing, that partner is going to not. So this is the important part. So if your white label partner is the one who has, this is the white label pricing and this is the agency pricing, direct pricing, then of course you have a problem, right? Because they will take your client. Yeah. But if it is a true white label partner, you should not. And other thing is, a good partner, when you say InvisiblePPC, it has a cred, it has a value.
Right.
If you say, hey, my fulfillment partner is InvisiblePPC, you immediately have, they've been around for 10 years, they manage so many millions of dollars, and if somebody even goes and checks us out, they'll see all the data and numbers and everywhere, right? So that's our general view. But then some might say, hey, it's like self-serving. Well, how is it self-serving? If they come to us, we don't want to turn them away and send them back to one of the best agencies. What we do is when they fill a form, they say, if you go to our site, it'll say, we'll transfer you to we cannot do this, but let's get you connected with the right agency. Because again, going back to, we feel that agencies provide additional value, which we don't. We don't have that time or bandwidth. We are not set up for that. So that's the general answer. But that being said, if you're new and if you're uncomfortable, because this is a confidence level thing, right? In my case, even as KUWARE, when we said, hey, our video ads, we work with Harman Brothers. Harman Brothers does our videos. They are our video partner. People go and check out, they are amazing. Their ads are known, right? There's nothing to fear at that point. And they say, you go work. Yes, they are our partner.
Yeah.
Once we do the video. So that is how we approach it, even as a larger agency, because there are stuff which we do, which we don't do. And because it's still done under our umbrella, we will still charge the management strategy, deciding what should be done or not, money. Why? Right? In that situations, actually, the only difference is in our case, we will never take money directly from client. Even if you introduce us, the billing is to the agency.
Yeah.
And it's a transparent billing. Yeah.
That's actually honestly how it should be. I think your answer is really interesting because I think it comes from a place of you owning the white label agency and being really confident in your procedures and processes and ethics, which are amazing, which is great. I think the general rule, though, that I would probably advise people on is not to let it be known to their clients. And here's why. Not everyone is going to be such an upstanding white label agency like you.
Certainly.
You know what I mean? So I will say that all the ones that I've worked with in my program are absolutely the exact same, and they would never, take a client a backdoor away from an agency. But that's not true for the whole market. So there is some type of risk there.
Sure.
And second, I think the bigger risk isn't even that happening. The bigger risk is the stigma attached with the word outsourcing and the thought process behind it from your client. The client doesn't fully understand what the conversation that we're having and the value of white label and the strategy coming together in the agency space. We do because we're entrenched in this industry. But you have the plumber, the chiropractor, the lawyer. They're entrenched in their industry. When they hire a marketing partner and then they find out that marketing partner is using another marketing partner to do the whole thing could just feels icky to them and has a stigma to it where they're not going to fully understand the nuances that we're saying. So just by saving that agency owner from trying to explain the nuances, it's your team, it's your experience, it's your case studies. This is your team. That's how I've looked at it. It's much smoother, slicker of a process.
So I would not disagree with that, especially the ones you said, the plumbers, the smaller ones. Smaller your end client, it's the same issue. More harder it'll be to explain to them that how the business works, right?
Yes.
For them, they don't care, and there is no reason for them to care, right? So here's the other part. I don't go and say ever explicitly announce to them.
Yeah.
Right? That's the other thing. So it's a question of like, hey, yeah, we will manage it. We got, and then if you get to the point, hey, who does it? And if it is a larger client, you can actually totally use it to your advantage. With the smaller clients, just use the material and keep doing it. And the other one is, never use the word outsourcing. Use the word
it's
partner,
super stigma.
Partner. Yes. It's expert partner. And the other way we manage that part is all our account management team members for US are US, UK are UK, and for Australia is actually through Philippines. So the account managers are here. Our fulfillment, our team, they're not contractors, but they are in India and Philippines. That's how we keep the prices down. But the client-facing one is all US because it's needed for multiple reasons. Just somebody has to do the strategy right and have to look through, make sure, somebody, when we say chimney sweep, what kind of chimneys work in US might not be the same in Australia, so they need to know. So that account manager has to be here. So that might be the other reason, but generally, yes, I completely hear you. And that's why I said, but we are true white label in the sense everything and anything we do, including the accounts we use to manage, does not have our name. So we do serve it that way. But I too tell the clients, hey, if you are comfortable, the larger ones, they have no problem. They say, hey, we work with InvisiblePPC on this. And because they have so many clients. Yeah, I've got 50 clients, and all of them, they've been doing this for us for years, right? And it's very, very simple as that. So if you get larger, so that's it. In some ways, it's a sign of maturity, how far you have reached, how big you have become. And your clients, if they're smaller, I absolutely agree. It's too much time to explain to a plumber or even a chiropractor that this is what I'm doing, right?
Yeah, I think that's a really, really good point. And also it's a little bit an indicator on how mature your agency is on introducing that these are partners that we use on fulfillment. Because I mean, at a certain point, a bigger company should understand that you may be an expert agency at SEO, but they're actually now asking for AdWords, and so they should expect you're hiring or you're partnering with somebody. I mean, it does make sense. So what would be the best way for an agency owner to do a cost benefit analysis for using white label versus hiring someone in-house?
Absolutely. So the way to do that would be is you figure out the skills needed, and if you could do this by actually working with the white label. So say you're doing with white label, you start out new, and then you're growing, and you reach a point. Hey, we do so much of this. Why don't we do it in-house, right? So what you should do is make a list of all the skills needed to fulfill, and this is very, very important. And your white label partner probably will help you with that, even if they know you're going away. We have clients, by the way, who we have a phased plan that after 3 years, they're going to move this in-house because the growth path is such, they'll work with us. So they will, in fact, many of them say, can we copy your systems? Because we're going to be building it, because when you copy your sheets and all. I said, yeah, we'll not give you the tools, but you can, we'll share the sheets and all. I'm fine. Just do it, right? Because it gets you going. So first figure out all the line items of the cost. So I'm going to focus again on PPC. I know more about that. There is a person who does strategy. There is a person who does the media manager who actually runs the ad every day to day. Then in our case, we have a person who audits them. We don't want the same person auditing, because if you wrote the ad, you're going to audit it and you're going to think it's perfect. Anyway, so the auditor has to be somebody you can have one person auditing others and you could do cross auditing for sure. Then there's auditor. You have a landing page. In our case, without landing page, we don't do ads. So we got to do landing page. So there's a landing page copy, and then there's a little bit of a development. Landing page development is not that much because you can use the platforms, but there is some of it. So consider those line items, what percentage you need, put the pricing there, how many clients you have, and calculate. Then you calculate versus how much you'll pay agency partner, a white label partner. So it's a simple spreadsheet exercise in some ways. But the important part is don't underestimate the skills needed for each thing, and just ask them, who do you have? Ask the white label agency, hey, what kind of people work? How many people work on my account? How many touch my account? What are their jobs? Ask them. Any good white label company will say, yeah, these are the kind of people, right? And in our case, we will even tell you the person who touches which country, where, what, who it is. That's not a problem either. But at least they should be able to tell you how many people touch that account and how do they do this? How do you manage? And take those skills, write it down, and go to the market, just go to Indeed or somewhere, get the salary, average salary in the area, put it down, and just do a spreadsheet exercise. That's what we absolutely recommend. If you're smaller, it'll immediately come out not in your advantage. If you're growing bigger, it will come to your advantage as long as you want to build that system in-house. As you get bigger, for sure, it'll be cheaper for you to build in-house, but be ready to have a manager or somebody to build that whole system for you in-house.
100%. Couldn't agree more. Now, one thing that I think is really valuable to agency owners in the agency space is referrals, getting referrals from, your local network or other business partners. So bringing that into the conversation a little bit, what would be the difference between a referral partner and a white label partner?
Certainly. So for us, a referral partner, the way we define is a referral partner is who just kind of introduces the partner and moves on. So, and does not, so somebody like us, if somebody was our referral partner, they cannot refer end clients to us, so it'll not work. Because they have to refer agency, because we don't take. But if there was somebody who does, so if there was a company who does take end clients and also works as a partner, then if you refer a client, they will give you a percentage, 10 or 15%. Our referral is 15% for life. So if somebody gives us an agency, not a client, we pay 15% for life of the client. And it can
for life?
Yes, we have clients for five years. Yeah, we have clients who've been there with us for that long, yeah. So
that's usually when I hear referral fees, they're like one-off, or if you got an initial 3-month contract, it's that for that initial contract. But if they re-sign,
what we found is, hey, once we get them in, we are very happy, and we don't have to pay this percentage, because to acquire a client, it costs us money too, right? So it's like we think it's a fixed, guaranteed, working well client relationship. I'm happy to keep paying.
Yeah.
But of course, if they leave and if they come back, then it stops, because by the time they come back, because they knew us, right? They left, right? So we have especially people in your space, coaches, who absolutely love this, right? Because for life, so they can with the ones.
I bet that's an amazing referral fee you have there. Usually, most referral fees that I've seen are either just a hard and stop % on the first contract, or even a hard and stop % on the first month of the first contract. Any re-signs generally after that are fully there. So that's an impressive referral fee structure that you have.
Yeah. So the difference between so that's the referral partner. When you get a percentage, you don't do any work. Versus the fulfillment partner is somebody who actually does the work completely, right? So the margins, when you're working with a referral partner, you're getting 10 or 15, right? You said 15% for life is great still, but hey, 50% or 60% for life, or as long as you have client, is even better, right? So the fulfillment partner, you make a lot more, right? So if you're charging 2x, you're going to be at least making 50%. Some of our clients charge 3x, so they're making even more, right? So,
they're making more, but they are actually working. Right? Like you're dealing with the clients. So, I mean, it's a trade-off. I mean, 15% for life to do nothing but an intro email sounds like cake to me.
Yes. And yeah, absolutely. For InvisiblePPC side, on the KUWARE side, actually, we pay only 10% for a year, because KUWARE clients pay $25,000, $30,000 a month. So it's a much better money. So we do 10% for a year there. But on InvisiblePPC side, it's 15% for life, because each monthly is lesser, so that's why we encourage that 15% makes it worthwhile at that point.
So when a marketing agency is looking for a white label partner, what are the things that they should be looking for to say, I feel comfortable with this white label partner? What qualifications should they have?
So one way to compare would be is, if your white label partner looks like a freelancer, they have same qualifications, then why the heck are you paying that? Most white label agencies, by the way, their charges, including ours, are very close to freelancer charges. I'm not talking about the cheapest freelancer, a good, experienced freelancer. The difference is, so you're asking, what should you look for? The difference between freelancer and other, freelancer is a one person or two or three working together. In case of an agency, what you're looking for, how long they've been around, right? In our case, we can say, we've been around 10 years, $165 million spent on ads. so many accounts managed, so many leads. Always that kind of is some kind of a, they've been around for a while, right? So it's like, must be doing something right, and white label term for our agency is not that old actually, right? So for our marketing business, even though white label as a term has been around for longer. So look for that. How long? I mean, they should have been at least few years in business or more. And then you can actually, the good news in the agency world is check with other agencies. People will know white label agencies' partners' names. And they will know what is the reputation. Has somebody had bad experience and all? Check around, go to any agency groups where other agencies hang out and ask them, what do you think? So they should have a stellar, clear reputation, right? And so that is very important for us. So we are very aware that we can never suck just for one client, because that client is going to talk to other agencies. Agencies talk to each other, right? So we have to, do a good job. So the expertise, then the other third part, which people usually ignore, ask them, how will you help me sell your services? Because end of the day, we are partners in this. If you are PPC, what all do you have which will help me make the case? Do you have something which will help me win over? Somebody's already doing ads with somebody else. Do you have anything which I can go and say, why should they move over? And it cannot be, in this situation, it cannot be, oh, just I have experienced, I do better. Right?
Yeah.
So so in our case, we have an audit service. We'll audit and guarantee in 14 days, we'll turn around and make you more money. And so if you go with that, then saying, okay, I mean, this is like, why would I not try? I'm already spending so much money. Why would I not try somebody to do that? So ask them for something like that. There should be a clean, clear way they help you. Beyond saying, oh, it's your problem. Like, it is their problem. We are not going to talk to the clients, but we give, or other good white label agencies also, not just us, they provide you material which will help make your case better. Do they have white label case studies where you can put your own logo?
Yes,
right?
I was just going to say they should have a lot of white label case studies that you can throw on your website, and you could reference to say, we worked with businesses like yours before. Here's what we've been able to achieve for them. You don't give the name of the company, obviously, but you talk about
we have 160 case studies from different niches of ads. So we hand those out as Google Slides. They just go and put your logo on and just show that this is what has been done. It will have time, date, and without the name, everything else, the data, actually how much was cost, what was the lead, things. So those kind of materials are the ones which you need to look for. If they provide that beyond the name and reputation, then you have a good partner. They'll support you. And it's good if they have a community also, like where you can talk to other agency owners who work with them. Yeah. And so that's other one. And talk to coaches, talk to agency coaches. What do they think? Right. So that's how you find a good partner.
Love it. I love it. Definitely do your research. It's important before you partner up with the wrong fulfillment team. So Avi, where do you see the agency space as a whole going in the next 10 years?
So this idea of what I was talking about, strategy versus fulfillment, I think this split has been happening. That this full service concept, like we do everything in-house, is like, in fact, it's harder to sell anyway. I mean, can you really do full service everything? Yeah. So that splintering will happen. And I think the strategy layer is building up, and that's the one which we call CMO, fractional CMO model. In fact, just 4 weeks back, there was an article that how FCMO has really taken off, as instead of getting a full CMO, just get a fractional CMO thing. Because that's actually, and some marketing agencies have not realized that CMO is us. That's our job. CMO is not like a corporate thing. That's what we do. Yeah. So you go on that layer. The advantage is now you are, instead of asking them, hey, or trying to tell them what to do, you are the one deciding what all that company will do.
Yeah. Can you briefly,
either you do that
can you briefly explain for the audience what a fractional CMO is?
Certainly. So the fractional CMO is a CMO is an executive level person. They talk to CEO, usually report directly to CEO, sometimes to CRO. So, and it's the shortest lived C-suite level position, by the way. The average is only 21 months.
Okay.
So they get fired quite a lot. So that also tells you that they're going to be fired anyway in 21 months. First person to go is CMO.
It's because everyone loves to blame marketing. Everyone loves to blame marketing.
So it's even more of a reason why go and hire a full person. Just hire somebody as a as a outsourced person, right? So that's the fractional CMO. So it's like CMO, but they're working on fractional basis. Same CMO might be covering 4 companies or 3 companies, depending on the workload. So it's not just exclusive to you. And they will decide, do you need ads? Do you need to change the logo? Do you need a new website? Because otherwise, when a CEO or somebody, business owner is deciding, what is their basis? Just by somebody said, oh, your website doesn't look good. No, the CMO, it has to be a marketer deciding. Right. And you cannot have a website agency deciding, because website, it's like going to a barber and saying, do you need a haircut, right?
Yeah.
So that's a problem there, right? With us, like all agencies, like, what do you do? Coming to us and we'll say, yeah, Google Ads will solve everything, because that's what we do, right? So it's that kind of a thing. So CMO's job is, and CMO and that strategy needs to be paid. Otherwise, they will be doing the same thing, right? They should not be making any cut from anybody. Their job is purely manage the strategy. They're responsible for results. If it doesn't work, it's their problem. They get fired.
Right.
So they will get the best of the breed. They will pick the right partners or get the right team built in-house, right? So that split of more and more strategy separation from fulfillment is where things are happening and will keep on happening. Because even any of the areas, they are very specialized. TikTok ads is TikTok ads. It's not like Facebook ads, and Facebook ads is not like Google ads.
Yes.
They are different, right? So once you realize that, then, hey, you cannot have one person saying, I know to do ads, right? You might know how to do copy, but even the copy is different. The format is different. So those separations will keep happening. So whether they're called white label partners or just simple partners, agencies will keep specializing in those areas and work with others. Right.
I think as businesses start catching on and feel and understanding that fractional CMOs are so much more valuable than a traditional CMO, because when you think about it, a fractional CMO that has an agency and all the agency connections, like Facebook ad experts, Google ad experts, CEO experts, like all these experts around them, they put together the strategy because they know what they're doing because they're a marketer, and then they can put the best people possible in their network, which should be very strong if they're an agency owner, on those jobs. That's a piecemeal marketing strategy that they came up with. If you, in the case of like a full-time hired CMO, in the traditional sense, they're going to come in, they're going to build the strategy, and then they're going to start hiring one by one. Okay, let me hire a Google guy. Let me hire a Facebook guy. Let me hire a content guy. That path costs so much more. Now you have all those in-house salaries that are just adding up. And the content guy isn't going to run ads. The ads guy isn't going to do, he's only Google, so he's not going to do Facebook. Like, or the other path is they hire a one guy can do it all kind of thing. So the CMO hires a digital marketer who's supposed to do the content and the social and the creative and everything. And that's a path for destruction because nobody is good at everything, right? So the fractional CMO model works so much better. It's way more efficient. I mean, it costs the CEO way less, and you're leveraging all of those networked, experienced professionals from the agency owner. So it's so much more efficient on cost and effective because you have better people doing the job.
Correct, and absolutely. And then what happens is that CMO, when they don't perform. So imagine this: if you hired a CMO, it's a big announcement. Even if they don't do very well, you cannot get rid of them for 2-3 months because it'll look bad for everybody, right?
Yeah.
Because there was such an announcement. What happened, right? Unless they kind of did something which is so obviously publicly wrong, right?
Yeah.
They cannot fire them. But if it is a outside fractional CMO, within 30 days they have to make a difference. You can just say, hey, I'm going to get rid of the CMO.
Yeah.
Because it's not the right one. So their intention is like from day one, within 30 days, I'm going to show you that I'm really worth it.
Yeah.
So they start producing things in the right way. And that's why they're not going to wait to hire and train, right? Mm-hmm. They'll say, I want the expert. Even if it is like an outsider, I want this done. I want the ads starting next week. So I produce some leads and they're going to keep me around for 6 months now, right? So they will act very quickly on the low-hanging fruit first. They'll produce the results for you immediately. So that's other benefit of when you get an outsider coming in. And they have other aspect is they have no fear, right? When you come from outside, you're going to critique everything which is wrong, including the product and service. That's the one thing which I ran into all the time, like just going, oh, You make masks. Oh, these masks, this is the problem. This doesn't fold well. Why not? The ones who are in, they are worried that, oh, you might ruffle some feathers, but outsiders, it's like they're free to talk.
Right.
And people are not that offended because they're outsider, right? So they're willing to even listen a little bit. So that's the other advantage of getting some outside help in that area.
Huge. So, the CMO really, I mean, it's about their network. It's about who they're going to hire and the strategy that they're going to put together. So, I mean, why an agency owner is a experienced, at least, agency owner that's been in the marketplace for a while is a perfect person to actually take on that role and leverage those the network that they have. Okay, sure. Avi, this is my last question. It's something that I ask every guest that comes on this show, and it is, what is your number one piece of advice that you would give to someone who is just starting their agency today?
Okay, so this is what I will tell them. If you're scared you don't know, just know this. Doesn't matter who you're talking to. Doesn't matter they're throwing some marketing terms you have not heard. They know 10% of you. So that's the thing which scares a new person. I am just new to marketing. I got started. Mm-hmm. They are in their business. A dentist is a business. They might have read an article. Oh, you need to do TikTok posts. What do you know about TikTok posts? You don't know anything? Just tell them, hey, TikTok is still new, being studied. I can look at it. Don't be scared. They don't know more. They just heard some terms. They're throwing that at you. And other one I tell them is, if you run into that situation, if they use a term, tell them that's an overloaded term. It has different meaning for different people. Can you help me what you mean? And that's true about every marketing term. If they use something with you, hey, are you a growth marketer? And you say you don't know what is a growth marketer, say, okay, you take any marketing term and you can just turn it around and say, it has many meanings if you don't know it. But in general, anybody you'll be selling to, doesn't matter how new you are, the fact you are trying and learning marketing, your end customer knows 10%. Now, there might be 10 or 20% of your customers who know more. It's okay, but rest 80 guaranteed know 10% of you. So because of those, don't be scared, because that's what kills a new business owner starting out as agency owner or marketing more than anything. The fear of that, I don't know enough, I'm scared, how can I charge this? So I should charge less. More you charge less, I mean, you find the right price. I'm not saying it's overcharge or whatever. And stick with that. Don't have the fear of that, oh, I don't know, so I should be charging less. So don't fear. You know more. You got into this. You will learn. You will get better. But right from the day one, when you're going to your first client, you know more than them. Start with that, and that get you farther.
I love it. I couldn't agree more. You need to have confidence in this game. If you don't have confidence, that's going to show in your sales call. People can smell that a mile away. A shaky, not confident, underpricing, and a lot of people start like that. So I think that's really, really good advice. It's just speak confident. I mean, honestly, like if you just have confidence, even if you know nothing, if you just walk with blind confidence, you're gonna get there more than half the time. Even with no knowledge, if just pure confidence, you'll get there. It's crazy. But I think that was a super very good advice to give to somebody that's pretty new. Avi, thank you so much again for being on this show.